Hello, everyone. I'm hoping you're having an awesome day today. Welcome to our Spirituality and Aging podcast. I'm Chris Jensen.
I'm Kathy Lee Taylor.
It's so nice to have you. We always have lots to talk about, so we hope you're enjoying it and will give us some feedback. This day, we're going to talk about something a little different. We're going to talk about solving life's problems, which is, we hear about that a lot, but we're going to take a very different approach to it. As we get older, the National Institute of Health says problems can sometimes seem larger. Life's experiences, maybe a little bit more tension, and maybe we don't feel we have the resources or the wherewithal or to power through things. But there's a better way, no matter what our age, whether we're young, middle-aged, or aging. I don't know. There's a better way to solve life's problems. It's not about powering through. It's about allowing our vast inner resources to come through. We have tremendous resources within us. We have a tremendous creativity, the power to change anything, the power to, love unconditionally. But we don't know. We don't even know it's there most of the time. So if you want to find out more about what we mean by our vast inner resources and how to get to them, stay tuned, because that's where we're going today.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing a lot of work today, so just be ready to do some things that I think you'll be very happy you've done at the end of this podcast. I sure hope so. So what do we usually do when we're faced with a challenge? We tense up, right? We get anxious, we get fearful, we worry. Does worry ever help? I love to share this joke that a psychologist told me years ago about worrying. He said, do you know what the difference between a psychotic and a neurotic is? And I said, no, what is it? And he said, well, neurotic knows the world's going to end tomorrow. I'm sorry, psychotic knows the world's going to end tomorrow. A neurotic knows it's not, but they worry about it anyway.
Which is worse.
Isn't that what we do? We worry about it anyway. Don't most of the things we do worry about never really happen? Isn't that true?
Yeah, true.
I mean, we paint up, my daughter can paint up the darkest scenario on the planet before she gets to a solution to something. There's a better way. There's a better way. And here's a good first step. Instead of stressing and worrying, first do something to help you feel more centered, calm your mind and emotions. So you want to take the time, and it doesn't take a long time, to first try to get as calm as you can, to calm your mind and emotions. And I bring the emotions into this because people think it's just calming their mind, but behind every thought, there's an emotion. So we want to do, and what we're going to do today is try to take the power out of those emotions and put it someplace else so that it allows us to get more in touch with the resources we have. We have this incredible creative intelligence within us. I mean, everybody's had moments when they can't think of a solution to something, and all of a sudden maybe you just look up and you're wondering what's going on, and then all of a sudden, boom, it comes to you. It doesn't come from the ether. It comes from that beautiful inner self, that creative power within you. So what we're going to do first, and I said this is a working session. What we're going to do first, we're going to do something called the fountain breath. And the idea of doing that is to help us feel just a little more centered and harmonized. And then we're going to do some other things to try and look at our very powerful emotions and take the power out of them. So before I tell us the steps, though, I think I'd like us to try and do it, So what we're going to do is we're going to do this fountain breath a few times. And then if any of those emotions pop up, they may not. You may get so calm right away, nothing's there. But if they do, which likely they will, then we'll take the next step to take the power out of it. But first, let's try to get a little centered. So this practice is we put our awareness right at the base of our spine. And we visualize a white light or energy moving all the way up the spine, moves into our forehead, and then above our head. And we do this as we inhale. We inhale, and we feel this light, white light moving up here and then up here. And then when we exhale, we feel this light pour down over our head and shoulders, just like a fountain of white light and energy. So we're going to do that. We're going to do 4 of those breaths. That should help us get to a pretty calm place. So I'll talk us through one, and then we'll try to do 3 at our own rate. So let's begin putting the awareness at the base of the spine, visualizing a white light. And then we inhale, bring that light up our spine, all the way up into the forehead, and then above our head. And then when you're ready to exhale, feel that shower, fountain of white light pouring over your brain, your face, all the way down to the shoulders. Now, do 3 more breaths like that at your own rate. Now, I hope you're feeling pretty peaceful and centered right now, but there may be a strong emotion or thought popping up. If there is, you want to then sense the power of that. Emotions are very powerful. Fear and angst are very powerful emotions. So try to sense the power in that emotion. Then what I want you to do, and this is a little different, I want you to think of something like peace or joy or something you would like to happen, something very beautiful, maybe a beautiful scene, and then try to sense the power in that emotion and just bring the power to the peace, the joy, or to whatever is beautiful to you. So let's do that. Let's try to stay as centered as possible. But if we feel that an emotion coming up right now, or an angst of some sort, let's try to sense how energetic it is and then move it into something else. It doesn't have to be a solution to that problem. We're not doing a visualization here. We're taking the power out of the emotion and putting it someplace we'd rather have it. So let's work with that for a couple minutes. You may need to spend more time than this moving the power, but you get the idea of that. So we're going to go back to the fountain breath now. We're going to do it 3 more times and be open to the peace and the joy. Then, after we do that, we're going to ask a question. What is the lesson for me in this problem? Now, this is the tricky thing. The reason we're doing this is that any issue that comes up for us, we always have something to learn. And maybe we don't want to learn. Maybe we want to stick our head in the sand. But if we want to truly get free of the problem, we have to be open, be aware of what lesson is in it. What is it trying to show us? Maybe I've been careless. Maybe I've been going down the wrong path. Maybe I've been rude to someone. I don't know. Maybe it's not any of those things. Maybe I'm just not choosing something that suits my nature. But we want to be open to that. So let's do first the 3 fountain breaths to try and get as peaceful as we can be, because we've already taken the energy out of that issue, I hope. So let's do this again. Awareness at the base of the spine. We inhale. Bring that light all the way up. It moves into the forehead, above the head, and we exhale. And that soothing white light pours down over our brain, our face, our shoulders. Now we do it 2 more times. Being open to a sense of peace and joy. And now asking, just putting the question out to your inner self. What is the lesson for me in this problem or issue? And try not to think thoughts about it. Just ask the question and let it go. And be open to what insight might come. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to do yet a couple more fountain breaths because our next step, I said this was a working session today, so I hope you're, going along with these steps. The next thing we're going to do is we want to be sure that we've, centered in our inner self. So after seeing our lesson, we do the 3 fountain breaths to make sure we're as centered as we can be. Then we're going to go to this point right here between the eyes, just above the eyebrows, and ask, what would you, my inner self, have me do to learn this lesson and solve this problem? Because just by learning the lesson, the problem will be solved. We'll know immediately what to do. So we're going to do 3 more fountain breaths. Let's put our awareness at the base of the spine and bring that light and energy up all the way up. As we inhale into the forehead, above the head, and exhale, let that shower of light pour down over you. 2 more. And now we're going to ask, what would you, my inner self, have me do to learn this lesson and or solve this problem? Okay, so we didn't spend a lot of time in that. You could spend a lot of time right here, but the idea is not to try and let your mind think of issues, to just try and be open. And, I mentioned that we have this vast resource of creativity within us. You don't have to believe me. You do this practice, and you will find that it's true. You will find that you are a wealth of creativity, a wealth of insight. And when you see the lesson you have to learn in a problem, it's going to grow. It's going to grow so many, and you'll get so many intuitive insights that come. We have such an incredible problem-solving capability within us. We just have to make a decision to access all that creative intelligence within us. We usually don't. We usually try to do it with our mind, and our emotions are going, oh, oh, oh. I mean, I remember one time when I had these 3 job offers, and I made this matrix. And I was looking at the pros and cons of each one, and it was driving me nuts. And then I said, wait a minute, let me do a different process. So I did a process, this kind of process, to get into the inner self, to touch my creative intelligence. And something came to me. It was not necessarily relating to any of my little matrix with my pros and cons. It was just an insight. I went with it, and it was a fabulous decision. It was the right decision. So I hope this is very helpful. I know it's been a lot of work, but
is this okay for me to talk a little bit about what I was experiencing with that?
Absolutely. I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because it might help somebody to hear, actually, because, typically when you have this kind of a problem, people's first response is to go ask somebody else how to help, how
Yeah.
to do it, like
Yeah.
go ask your
Yeah.
friend that doesn't know squat. Like
Right.
go ask
Yeah.
somebody, that
Mm.
knows how to do this stuff. But you're so right. If you tap into the inner creativity, you will get an answer that is completely
Mm.
right for you. Because, so for example, as I was doing it and I did the exercise as you were talking, and what came up for me was an angst about somebody making noise in my home space when
Mm.
I'm trying to do something like
Mhm.
record a podcast, or I'm trying to
Yeah.
meditate, and that's just freaking annoying to me. And so the answer to the question was, what I needed to learn was to be able to understand that people are going to be in your space and you have to accommodate that. Sometimes it means, telling them to turn the radio down. And sometimes it means it's just going to happen because you're not living on a mountain, so
Mm.
stop being that. But then I made this creative leap to, I saw all these different cultures and people in
Mm.
front of me. And I thought to myself, this is how you would connect better to other people when you have, differences of culture and you have gaps in your communication and you're not necessarily knowing how to speak to them or,
Mm.
get comfortable together. This would be an amazing way to tap into your own creativity and find a way to connect that would be
Mm. Yeah.
peaceful and beneficial and friendly
Yeah.
for both parties.
Yep.
So, an interesting leap from where I was from angst to, oh my
Yeah.
God, I could take this into, the communication sphere, and this could be very, very helpful in actually learning to connect with people at a much deeper level.
Well,
Where
see,
you're
that's why, going inside,
right.
this creative intelligence is so much broader than what our mind would do.
Exactly. I went from, I want to punch somebody in the head for making noise. I'm not really, but I'm trying to make a point. I'm pissed at somebody making noise in my space to, oh wow, how could we use this technique to become much better communicators and connected to other people, which is probably the point, because I do spend a lot of time alone and in silence. I could probably learn to connect better with other people. So that was very interesting exercise for me. I totally learned something from that.
Yeah, as I said, it's a little different than our usual podcast because we're working most of the time, but I think it's so beneficial because
It is.
those things come up for us. And as
Yep.
the National Institute of Health says, as we get older, we tend to get a little more angst about
Right.
issues and problems. And we have the ability to
To
be
problem solve
creative, to have
inside
that
of,
intelligence come through. So,
which is very powerful. I hope that's helpful for you, because boy, that could really make a difference in a lot of things that we worry about as we get older.
yep.
Worry, I told Chris, that word worry was something that I heard a lot in my childhood, and I just wiped it out. At some point in my life, I said,
Yeah.
I'm never
Yep.
saying the word
Yep.
again. I don't
Yep.
even want it in my vocab, because it's utterly useless. You
Right.
know,
Right.
and
It is.
and her point is, we do have the power inside of us to solve whatever it is that we're struggling with. And so go get it.
Go get it. Go get it. Don't worry. Be happy. Right?
Be happy.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. And let us know how it goes for you.
Yeah, please send us your questions. See you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.